Hi, welcome to my next video. This video is basically part 2 of I've owned 5 cars this year. Or I went through 5 cars this year. Anyway, I just want to give you a little info. I started out, I guess it is, and when I say a year, I'm going back to 1 year. Now it's June, so I'm going back to June of 2020. In May of, so it's been just slightly over a year. In May of 2020, I headed out on the road in a 2006 Ford Taurus. Never had any issues. I mean, I've done repairs and such, but never any issues. I drove to Pennsylvania. I drove almost to the New York state line, but decided I didn't want to go that far, so I turned around. I headed back. I traveled US Highway 11 almost the entire way. I left North Carolina, and then I guess in Tennessee somewhere, maybe Virginia, probably Tennessee, I picked up US Highway 11 and I drove US Highway 11 all the way. And then on the way back, I drove US Highway 11 all the way back. Didn't have any issues, no problems. I was in Pennsylvania and I noticed that you know, just something really stupid, really weird, like the car was, you know, it was dinging and going off like I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, or it was dinging and going off, you know, like the door was open, but the door wasn't open. And I think I had that one little issue, and then that was about it. I think that was it. Maybe happened a couple times, and that was it. When I got to Tennessee, that's when I was going down a hill, and I thought maybe just a fluke. Should have known better. But anyways, I got a whole other story with that one. But anyways, I was going down a hill, the car jerked, and the theft light came on. I didn't have any more issues. It came on like one time. I drove back to North Carolina, no issues. And I just thought, you know, maybe it's a fluke or you know, or whatever. And you know, and I called the shop, you know, and I called a couple, the dealer, and I called the another shop, and I asked them, and they said, you know, if it's not doing anything when you bring it in, there's no way for us to diagnose it. And I already knew that more or less, but I just wanted to confirm it. Anyway, they said without it doing it all the time, they couldn't confirm, they wouldn't be able to figure it out. So I just figured it was a fluke, and you know, and the experience I had with the first Taurus I had, the 2001 Ford Taurus, that car was so solid, never broke down, never, well, one time, the AC compressor, and that was I kind of heard a pop, but I kind of ignored it. Anyway, it's a whole other story there. Me and my ex-husband and I had gotten into a major blowout, major fight. He was drunk. I left. That's the whole reason I left, just because he was drunk. And I ended up driving the car, you know, even after I heard it, I just thought it was, I ran over something, and I kept driving. Turns out it was the AC compressor had seized. And at that time I didn't have AAA, so I was over 200 miles out. I was about 200 miles out, and I ended up having to get the car towed to a local shop, a local dealership. Got a motel, making a horrible sound. The tow truck driver thought it was the timing chain. It sounded horrible, god-awful. Anyway, that wasn't it. It was AC compressor seized. Anyway, my warranty took care of most of it with $300. They gave me grief over that. Anyway, after it did it on a Friday afternoon, so I was stuck there at the motel for the whole weekend. My phone, I didn't have a charger except in the car, only a phone charger. I had to walk the mile and a half to go charge my phone up in the car. Not a good weekend, not a good weekend. Anyway, but by Monday, I think they ordered the parts. I was there on the weekend. I think they ordered the parts on Monday, and then I think I was able to check out on like Tuesday, because they came and picked up the keys from me on like a Monday morning, and then I think Tuesday they didn't get done with the car till late, but I checked out of the motel and just waited in the lobby until someone come to pick me up, and then I picked the car up, and boom, I hit the road. But anyway, so anyway, back to my current Ford Taurus. I'd had such good luck with the 2001. That was the only time I'd ever had an issue. It was the AC compressor, and it had never ever broken down ever on the side of the road. I never had an issue on the road. I I got cut off there. Anyway, as I was saying, I did have to do a few repairs to the 2001 Taurus, but nothing to write home about. It was just usually little stuff, stupid stuff, like, you know, a couple $100 here. I think one time a headlamp switch went out, no big deal. Windshield wiper motor went out, no big deal. There were a couple other things that I had to do a little bit bigger when I got home, but nothing really never had to do anything to that car. It was just really solid, and no matter what, it kept going, you know. Even if something did crop up, it kept going, you know. Engine light came on, even if it wasn't running right, you knew, you know. But I don't think I ever had an issue with it not running right on the road. It was usually when I would get home, and then whatever it was like it was slowed down, and then it would come up. I don't know what the deal was with that, but anyway. So back to the 2006 Taurus. Since I'd never had any issues with the other Taurus I drove, I figured, you know, this one would be just as solid, and I would have, you know, it would, whatever it was, would take a long time to finally break, because that's the experience I'd had before. So that's what I thought. Anyway, so as I was saying, I came back home. I was at home for maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then I went back out on my next trip, and, you know, didn't have, I think I had a little bit of issue, but not too bad. At least not starting out. I think that's what happened. If I remember correctly, I came back. I went back out on my next trip. I think, if I remember correctly, I went out on a short trip to Tennessee. Nothing to write home about, and it did do, the theft light came on a couple more times, but still wasn't too bad. And then on the third trip, I went back to Tennessee, another business trip, and when I did, the theft light came on, and I guess I was there longer than I should have been. I pushed the car further than I should have. You know, as soon as I had stuff to take care of, business there, but I should have just said it'll have to wait, and turned around and went right straight back, you know, to North Carolina. I was only about maybe 125, 150 miles out, so I definitely had a AAA tow. But anyway, but this, of course, now remember, this was during the pandemic, so this was not a good time, and there's more to that story. Anyway, so I pushed the car too much, and I guess, I don't know. Anyway, the car, it went downhill really, really fast. It didn't take a long time to brake. It didn't hold its own like the first one had. Whatever, it just went downhill really, really quick. So anyway, I left Morristown, Tennessee, and the day I left, I thought, okay, cool, I'm leaving. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be great. I'm going to make it back. I'm only looking, because when I left Morristown, I was a little closer to home, so I was only maybe a little over 100 miles out. I thought, you know, I am 100 miles out. That's, you know, I should easily be able to make it home. Well, I was wrong. I was way off. I was dead wrong about that. But truth is I just, you know, I guess I pushed it too much. I don't know. But anyway, I hit the interstate. I left a truck stop there in Morristown, or White Pine rather. It's close to Morristown. I left the truck stop, hit the interstate. Everything was fine. The theft light did come on a couple times, but I was doing about 70. It pushed right on through, no problem. And then I hit road work. The road work, it was road work. The cars were backed up for miles, and that did it. That killed the car. It died in the left-hand lane on the interstate. Thankfully, it was stuck in traffic. I was stuck. You know, it was bad. It was bad. It could have been a lot, but it could have been a lot worse. I had 2 or 3 cars nearly took my mirror off trying to get around me, and there was nothing I could do. It just died, and it would start back up, but it wouldn't stay started. It would only it'd only run for maybe 30 seconds and die. You know, start it back up, run for 30 seconds and die. Okay, finally, it sat there in the left-hand lane for quite some time, or a while, and then finally someone did stop, gave me some water, and then a road, like I guess a DOT worker. a DOT worker stopped to try to assist me, and he literally jumped out in front of traffic to stop it and said, if it'll start at all, if you can get it to the right-hand side of the road, that's going to be great. This is a really bad location for it to be. It did start up long enough. I did get it to the right-hand side of the road a little bit later. The sheriff came. By this point, I could not get in touch with AAA. It kept cutting me off. It was a bad service area. I did eventually get in touch with AAA, but it was a very bad service area. And I finally called the Sheriff's Department or Highway Patrol. Well, Highway Patrol, I guess, forwarded it over to the Sheriff's Department. And I told them what was going on. I said, I'm stuck in... And at that time, I was stuck in, literally, on the left-hand lane. Sheriff finally come. By this point, I was over the right-hand side. He actually told me, he said, I'm going to help you back the car back onto the ramp so that you're not sitting right out on the highway. And he turned on his blue lights, backed up. I had to back the car up a good little ways to get onto the off-ramp. Anyway, of course, AAA rules. AAA told me, no, call an Uber. You're going to have to call an Uber, call a Lyft, because at that time, it was during the pandemic and rideshare was suspended. The cops that came out laughed. They were like, that's hilarious, that's ridiculous, there's no Uber out here. And I was literally in the middle of nowhere off a Tennessee exit. So anyway, I had to call at that time, my boyfriend. He's my ex-boyfriend now. I called. He was very unhappy. He'd been up since 4:30 in the morning. So obviously, driving 2 hours, he wasn't happy about it. He did come ultimately and come pick me up, but we fought the whole way. We fought about half the way. Very, very bad situation. Just not a good situation. The tow truck driver that came to pick my car up wanted to take me to a campground, and I've shared this in AAA Nightmare Rideshare Suspended. That's the video that it's in. Anyway, but he wanted to take my car to he wanted to take it back to his shop. Take me to a campground. Ultimately, my ex-boyfriend, once he got involved and into the mix, insisted that it go to his brother's up in near Bristol, Tennessee. So he had to go in a complete opposite direction. Eventually, I did have to get it towed from there back to North Carolina, or actually back to South Carolina, the dealership where I was getting it serviced and having my cars worked on. Anyway, all totaled a complete nightmare. The car was at my ex-boyfriend's brother's for, I guess, a couple weeks. He concluded he thought it was a PCM. The car then went to the dealership. It sat in the dealership for 8 months. They replaced the cluster. That didn't fix it. Crank sensor didn't fix it. PCM, which is a second PCM in the car, did not fix it. They finally called me up, told me to come get the car. Car wouldn't even start. They handed me my $900 bill. There's a whole other story with that one too, but anyways, I had to get the car towed home. My ex-husband finally got the car started. I've shared bits and pieces of this through other videos, but anyway, my ex-husband finally got the car started, and that's, he finally got it started, and it's still sitting in the yard. He found a battery cable that runs from, I think, the battery to the starter that's split, that needs to be replaced. He's yet to do it. He said he's been promising he would do it. He hasn't yet. I'm kind of at that point now where I need to either get the car on the road so it can be a viable car that I can drive, and if I have to drive an hour or two away, I need to be able to drive it without it breaking down, or try to find something else. So that's where I'm at now with that car, the 2006 Ford Taurus. I've had the car since, well, I'll share that in the next video. Anyways, I'll share that in the whole next video. Anyway, I'll be back in just a bit. This first video is the 2006 Ford Taurus, gray. The place where I did this, well, not the video, but the slideshow or the pictures, was on US Highway 25, and I was headed toward Newport, Tennessee. And hold on. Okay, I'm back. There was a man walking down the street, has all of his stuff, homeless, I assume. said his girlfriend threw him out for the umpteenth time. Anyway, he asked if he could charge his phone for just a little bit, and my, and on my car he had a USB port. Anyway, not USB port, he had a USB cable, so I was able to plug it into my inverter box, and we chatted for a little bit. Anyway, so as I was saying, my next the next video is the 2006 Ford Taurus. I bought the Taurus in 2007, July, like into June, July of 2007, when I had a 2007 Ford Taurus I bought brand new, was T-boned 6 weeks after I purchased it, and it was totaled. I went to Keith Hawthorne Ford in Belmont, North Carolina, and I purchased that car, the blue car. I call it blue. It's actually, in fact, I lovingly named the car Bluebell, but it's really gray. But anyway, tungsten, actually. Anyway, so that's pretty much the story of that car. I wrecked it about 6 months after I had it. I wrecked it. It was, again, totaled. But I opted to keep it, and I fixed it. Not sure if that was a good idea or not a good idea. I replaced pretty much all of the aftermarket and OEM parts that were put on the car. Anyway, but I drove it, and the value of the car drops them terribly when they get a rebuilt salvage title. Anyway, I drove the car, didn't drive it a lot. I kept the miles low. My ex-husband drove it for about 2 years before, back and forth kind of to work as a daily driver before all of this stuff happened with the theft light, and then it stayed in like I said, in the dealership for 8 months. Anyway, the picture that I took, that was on US Highway 25 North going toward Newport, Tennessee. I'd already had an issue, but I didn't think that it would break down. Anyway, you've already heard the whole story of it breaking down. So that's pretty much the story of that car, and it was my first one. It was the very first car I started driving after I came out of lockdown during the pandemic, which was like around May of 2020. Anyway, I am okay. I'm going to, I guess, well, the next video, you're going to see the next video. It's a very short one. And then I'll see how much time I have left, and I may or may not bring this video to an end. Okay, it's hot. I'm sitting here in downtown Bristol, Virginia. It's very hot. I stopped here. I'm on my way back to North Carolina. I'm having some issues with this car, unfortunately. Not real sure. I've talked about this transmission. I don't know if it's a transmission, cooler lines, needs a flush. I really don't know, but I'm babying it pretty good and stopping it often. I wanted to get out and walk down through Bristol and take some pictures, do a little bit of video. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I've been up here for 2 hours. Well, not 2 hours. I've already been here probably about an hour, and I don't know what time I came through. So I might want to move up a little bit and go to the next little parking spot, maybe. I haven't decided. Anyway, while I was sitting here, as you saw, someone came through, wanted to see, let me charge his phone. I did. I had a USB on my inverter box, so I let him. Anyway, I was going to do more than one video in this, more than one slideshow in this video. I was going to do I was going to try to do at least 3 to 4, but the whole story about the 2006 Ford Taurus, it seemed to just drag on for me, and I told a lot more of the story and the beginning of it and the backstory and everything, from the time I purchased the car right up until, where it is now, which it's right now, it's sitting in the yard waiting to be, I want to see if I can fix it. I don't know if I can or not. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Anyway, this video is right at 20 minutes, so I'm going to bring this video to an end and do the one video. So I hope everyone has a good week. God bless. Peace.